Today on Monkey Life. A wild gibbon is on the attack as Alison and the team carry out health checks at a Vietnamese national park.
OK, can we let this other gibbon through into the other enclosure?
Marina tracks a wild loris through the forest.
We're at full signal now, so we're basically there, so it's just a case of looking through all these leaves to find her.
And baby gibbon Locke finds comfort in the arms of adopted brother Dwayne. This is Dao Tien Rescue Centre in Vietnam, sister sanctuary to Monkey World and overseen by its director, Dr. Alison Cronin. The staff here dedicate their lives to rescuing and rehabilitating endangered Vietnamese primates.
We know that this is a really good quality of forest and there's plenty of food out there for them.
It's a 6,000-mile journey from the UK to the centre, which lies 160 miles northeast of Ho Chi Minh City. It's early morning at Dao Tien and the golden-cheeked gibbons are in full song. The centre's locally based director, Marina Kenyon, has been involved in the project since its inception and has recently overseen the creation of the new semi-wild loris area. This morning, she's going to check up on the first loris family to be released there. Last night, Batman and his partner Hope, along with her two twins, were let out of the holding cage and into the trees in the semi-free area. The four lorises were soon out exploring their new surroundings and seemed quite relaxed as they tucked into the food left out for them. They were left in peace to get on with familiarising themselves with their new home. And now, Marina wants to check all four are still together.
They all came out incredibly confident, went up high, higher than they've ever been before in their lives. So really pleased this morning. They're actually sleeping at around 4.5 meters, which is a perfect height for loris. Mum is there with her two babies. She's managed to control them and bring them to her. And Batman's he's not allowed to touch them, but he's centimeters away. And they're fast asleep, so perfect.
Mornings are always busy on the island. With more than 50 lorises and gibbons to feed and look after day and night, it's been a massive undertaking, right from when the centre first opened its doors to rescued gibbons in 2008. Alison visits regularly to check on progress and help plan the next steps.
It's been 2 years since I've been back to Dao Tien, and it's amazing. You know, our goal was always to make our conservation work here with the primates low impact. So this island and its ecology and habitat doesn't get too disrupted. And since being here, the amount of wildlife that's come to the island I find quite significant and interesting as well. We have a lot more reptiles, for better or worse, some of them friendly, some of them not so friendly. But the island's a very beautiful place, and we're pleased to call it home for our rescue and rehabilitation work.
Alison has brought wildlife vet John Lewis with her on this visit, and today, along with Lee Butler, who runs the centre with Marina, they're heading downriver to the headquarters of Cat Tien National Park.
Okay, rock and roll.
At 278 square miles, Cat Tien is one of Vietnam's most important and largest national parks. There are more than 100 mammal species living within the forest here, and the work at Cat Tien is vital for their conservation. The park regularly receives primates rescued by the Vietnamese authorities, and almost all have been stolen from the wild. Alison, John and Lee have come over to health check 3 of them.
Good to see you. Yeah.
If the 3 gibbons prove to be healthy, they could potentially transfer to Dao Tien for rehabilitation and, hopefully, future release back into the wild. But when Alison and the team arrive, one of the park's officials, Mr. Viet, tells them there's been a worrying development.
How I see, look, there's the wild gibbon. He's already here.
A family of wild gibbons has been terrorising the rescued gibbons housed in the cage assessment enclosures at Captien.
So the female was a captive one that they released, paired up with a wild male. They now have babies, so she, funny enough, is the dangerous one.
When they go to see the first of the 3 rescued gibbons awaiting a health check, the wild female is already there, clambering over the cages.
You have to get rid of it, guys. It's no good. We have to get her away.
The wild gibbon was previously rescued from captivity and then released. But having lived in captivity for so long, she shows no signs of being afraid of humans. And she's determined to let everyone know this is her territory.
We don't know anything about the new gibbons, but they need to be health checked because it's absolutely critical. If you have wild gibbons coming and interacting with potentially diseased individuals, they can share the disease and take it back out into the national park. So this is actually a really critical part of our work. Even if these individuals aren't going to be coming to us, we need to help check their health status so that the health and welfare of the animals in the national park isn't compromised. It's direct overhead. Making a big leap.
The wild female gibbon is determined to reach the others in the cages. John decides it's better and far safer for all concerned to perform the health check on his first patient, the rescued female, inside the cage rather than risk taking her elsewhere. But first, he must anaesthetize her. As he prepares to do so, Alison receives some shocking news.
The 3rd gibbon got killed by the wild female attacking her and giving her such bad injuries that she couldn't survive. So I think that was just a couple of weeks ago. The gibbon's teeth are very large and very sharp. The canine teeth are just like sabers and they can tear you apart, which is why we're all so cautious. It's tragic and sad, and right now all of these gibbons in these cages are vulnerable to attack from that female, and she's already killed one. Here he comes, behind you. Oh, we've got two behind you.
Come on, we need to stop talking, guys.
Go on.
It's just dangerous, you know. She's not afraid of anyone or anything, and potentially, it's a big problem for John, who needs to do and concentrate on what he has to do. So we're going to try and move her away from the area with food, and then try and work as quickly as possible.
John manages to dart the female gibbon. It's now a waiting game as the drug takes effect. But the wild gibbon will not leave. The team must keep her away from the vulnerable, sedated gibbon.
She is starting to go.
She's about to go.
The anaesthetic kicks in and John can get to work. He checks her heart first. All the time, the rangers from Dautien are doing their best to keep the wild gibbon at bay. Next up, a full set of bloods, vital to check she isn't carrying any disease. She needs a clean bill of health if she's going to make it to Dautien and ultimately be released back into the forest.
So far, we're okay. The animal is fine. Stable under anaesthesia. We're just taking bloods. We've done the transponder. And then once we've done those 2 things, I'll have a closer look at the rest of her body. Her teeth are good, her mouth's fine, no problems there. She has a slightly strange heart sound, but sometimes that can be a result of anaesthesia. So I'll have a good listen at the beginning, and then I'll have a good listen at the end, and often you find that corrects itself.
Okay, guys.
The health check is complete, but the gibbon is still drowsy from the anaesthetic, and the wild female has spotted she's up and about. She moves in for the attack.
Okay, can we let this other gibbon through into the other enclosure?
you have a bigger side to defend then.
But yes, but this is all open mesh, and that's half closed mesh.
They need to get the still sedated gibbon into the larger part of the enclosure, where she'll have more room to move and evade her attacker.
Get out of it, go on!
Get going! Go on!
Finally, the wild gibbon gets the message, finds the rest of her family, and retreats back into the forest. For now.
No, he's gone. He's gone. I just saw him off in the distance. So she's just left. The male was loitering, but he's, I think, going to follow as well. So hopefully we might have a bit of an easier go of it with the male now.
Without the distractions from above, John quickly manages to dart the male gibbon, who's next for a health check.
Nice one. Still in.
But with all the excitement going on around him this morning, his adrenaline levels may be affecting the anesthesia. He's drowsy, but not enough for the team to step in. John decides to give him a small top-up.
You can see his eyes are... He's fighting it. Lee's in there only to catch him in case he falls. Gibbons are pretty fragile, even though they're a bit full-on. They've got teeth that can break easily in their arms, so Lee's there to catch him if he starts to fall.
And once the male is fully sedated, John moves in. This time the health check goes smoothly. Without any of the distractions from the wild gibbon family, John is quickly able to check him over, insert a microchip, take bloods, and check his weight. He's pleased with what he's seen so far.
I mean, they're good-looking animals, both of them. The male, the dark one, is what they call subadult. He's not mature yet, but you can see his big canines coming through the gums and causing a bit of inflammation in the gums. He's teething some serious teeth, but he's a typical rangy subadult male. And the female's in good condition too. We see no problems. I can't feel or detect any problems. We'll see what the blood samples show.
The team must wait for the results of the hair samples and blood tests for both gibbons before deciding on their future. It's been a full and demanding morning, but they've managed to accomplish what they set out to do under difficult circumstances. The team at Dao Tien spend a lot of time surveying the protected areas of Vietnam. They record gibbon and loris populations and note tree species to see if they're the right fruiting varieties necessary to sustain primates that might be released there. The more information they have, the more they can prevent wildlife coming into conflict with local people and farmers. In recent months, they've been checking local coffee and cashew plantations. Marina has been getting reports of farmers finding pygmy lorises in the trees, including a location just 20 minutes from Dao Tien.
We've been able to remap the habitat and the distribution of potential loris areas in Vietnam, and it's triple of what it initially was. So they like the grassland. In orchards, like in plantations like this, you get lots of insects as well. So it's really, really exciting. There's much more habitat available for loris. The key is that the people just need to leave them alone. And if we can work with the local people and they realise that the loris is the farmer's friend and they don't hunt them, they actually leave them because they're helping, then we have a chance.
Today, Marina, along with Mr. Dong, a keeper and tracker from Dao Tien, and Hannah, a postgraduate student, are checking on a wild pygmy loris who's taken up residence in this cashew plantation. Chi is a middle-aged female who the team fitted with a radio collar before releasing her back into her home on the plantation. They track Chi twice a week to find her sleep site and then at night record what the loris is eating.
We hope next year to bring the local farmers onto our tracking team so they too can watch and say, oh, she's not really eating the fruit, she's focusing on the insects and all those nasty pests that hurt my crops. So the key is actually what is she doing at night, and to show the farmers that actually she's actually our friend and she's helping us.
Bốn ra lại về 24.
I
But finding a small primate weighing less than 500 grams is not easy.
Không đi thẳng, dốc.
Yeah. Because there's lots of valleys and gullies, there's lots of blind spots. It proves really, really tricky to find her.
And the heat of the afternoon only adds to the difficulty.
It's really, really important we find her because we're mapping her home range, we're mapping how much space she needs as a cashew loris. And from this, then we can work out densities and what potential there is in all this plantation land for loris. So it's really important we find, even though when she goes over hills, we need to get there.
Bây giờ lên đây là 99 rồi.
After searching for Chi most of the afternoon, Mr. Dong finally gets a signal on the tracking equipment.
She's around 30 metres away, so she's close.
Ở cái trên kia.
We're at full signal now, so we're basically there. So it's just a case of looking through all these leaves to find her. So yeah, got her.
They may be in the right area, but spotting the loris high up in the cover of the leafy treetops takes another hour. And dusk is fast approaching. But at last, they get a sighting of Chi, still fast asleep.
So now we've found her. Every day we mark her sleep site. So we're just plotting her habitat, how big the home range is that she lives in. Then we make a note of the height of the tree, the species of the tree, which is cashew, the angle of the branch she sleeps on, so as much data as we can of her sleep spot. And then we just kind of sit here quietly, wait for night time to come, and then the exciting bit comes, actually trying to follow her at night and find out what she does, and importantly, what is she eating.
They're going to wait until dark, when Chi will be fully awake and alert, so that they can then monitor her movements. While Marina and the team settle down for a long night, back at Dao Tien, the staff are preparing the night feed for the resident lorises. Mr. Hai is distributing the first of 4 feeds, spread out over 7 hours, designed to keep the lorises more active.
The loris now are active throughout the night, which is what they should do. They have their breaks and then they go off again. The nocturnal, they will eat throughout the night, so we have to replicate that.
The first feed is gum logs, followed by fruit and then live insects.
This is their rehabilitation phase 1, semi-freeze phase 2, where we actually get them out into the forest, where they're going to have to naturally hunt for insects. We supply that at the moment, so it's a big learning curve. And hopefully, you know, it all goes smoothly, and then in 2-3 months' time, we can survey an area in Cat Tien National Park, make sure that's safe, there isn't a bigger population of loris there already, and then do a release.
While the lorises at Dao Tien are enjoying their evening meal, back on the mainland, Marina and her team's wait is over. The wild pygmy loris, Chi, is on the move.
We've been following Chi now for just over 2 months, and so far the local people just think we're crazy, but they keep asking questions and we keep giving them loris gifts and talking about what we're doing. And we're just going to start doing awareness events, showing videos of our work on Dao Tien with loris, lots of nice pictures of loris up close, and also work that other people are doing, like in Indonesia, so they become aware that actually lots and lots of people care about loris, and they're actually one of the privileged few who still have a healthy loris population close by. And together, as in different countries, in different regions, we can all work together and save them.
It's the final morning of Alison and John's trip to Dao Tien. Vet John is just finishing a health check on 2 of the centre's smallest and youngest gibbons.
He's got full range of hip movements.
Locke and Dwayne, like most of the gibbons at Dao Tien, had a terrible start in life, both stolen from the wild and separated from their mums. Female Locke, the youngest at 3 months, was rescued just days after leaving the forest. Dwayne, a male, is older at just over a year. He was discovered via a social media site after photographs were posted of him as a baby, tightly swaddled, something which stunted his growth.
When he arrived here, he didn't even know how to use his arms and reach out. And for a gibbon, it's just unimaginable that they wouldn't know how to use their arms. And we're trying to turn that around here at Dao Tian.
But now he's just had his health check and his body is moving as it should, although he's still a little on the small side. For the last 3 months, the team have been hand-rearing Locke. But it's important for primates to have others of their own kind as companions. And whilst they don't usually try to introduce gibbons to each other when they're this young, the team decided to give it a go. Now the duo aren't just spending their days together. For the last week, the team have started leaving Locke overnight with Dwayne as well.
Now they are inseparable. She's just adoring having this contact. He doesn't know it, but he's her mum, he's her dad, he's her everything. So our next step is that Dwayne actually isn't really the best teacher for Locke on how to be a gibbon. So in the future, we're going to have to look for that surrogate mum for both of them to show them how to be gibbon.
But for now, the pair are just going to have to learn from Marina and the keepers, who are keen to offer them different and new forms of enrichment. Today, they're being given crickets and mealworms as an alternative to fruit. It's all part of their journey back to the wild, something that could take this pair at least 5 years.
What we have to do is to get them in the trees as soon as possible and further away from humans. But at this point, Dwayne and Locke still have a chance. Everyone always has a chance, and we just have to try to make it come true.
Next time on Monkey Life, Alison meets Frank, a Jeffroy's marmoset needing a new home.
Well, he's clearly a very confident young man.
And good news from Germany, where orangutan Xiaoning, born at Monkey World, welcomes a new generation.